Welcome back to Portland, where it continues to evolve here. Boris said right there, the Applied Computer Solutions, Panos Esperani leading comfortably, easily having the best run for this car. Of course, he won in a Mustang the opening round at Sebring. Now, there have been a couple of offs. I think that was Don Sack a little bit further back in the pack. Don very happy to have, oh, that's Mike Rocket, excuse me, in his Trans Am debut. Right there is Mike, and he gathered it back up and is doing okay at this point. But let's go back now and take a look at what happened. That is, oh, big getting together right there.
Rocket and Pelkey, I think.
Yeah.
You caught the tail end of it. Those two cars get together, end up off track in the dirt.
You can see the dust.
That's after the triple right-hander. So chances are they got side by side in the right-hander and then got together when it went back left.
Now we're going to drop back just a little bit. There is Paul Gentilozzi. He has now fought his way up to 9th, and he's working on Alexander. He should be able to get by and pick up the 8th spot on board with Alexander. Watch and see if Paul sneaks through. Now his crew has been continuing as Paul goes by to argue. Their point is that as they were on the track, Paul was holding his lane. Tommy drifted over into him, and as a result, then Paul came back into Tommy. We're going to now go back, TK, and take a look at the replay, the entire sequence. Take us through it.
Well, here you see, now there's always a lot of jockeying that goes on. There was contact on the aborted start, just rubbing, but this is, I mean, Archer right here veers a little and does one of these rubs right there that happened on all the previous laps. But now this is the move in question. The pictures, I'm not going to change my story there. I mean, I'm sure Paul, maybe he swerved away from Archer from the earlier stuff, and then when he swerved back, didn't realize he was swerving all the way back into him. But the pictures are pretty damning.
Well, and it wasn't subtle, and I think that may have been the biggest faux pas here. Is if you're going to do something like that, don't make it quite so obvious. And I mean, there was no way you could miss that.
Well, like I said, there might be. I don't want to assign intent to Paul. If he was pulling away in frustration and then pulling back to get in line and misjudged that, the effect was they came together. Paul initiated, the valve stem got knocked off the tire, and Archer's race was perhaps ruined. So you can argue that. There's two sides to every story, and I'm sure we'll hear Paul's in vivid color afterwards. But you know, that I think the officials made the right call.
Well, and the interesting thing, folks, is while Boris said continues to lead, Tommy Archer is 5th, Paul Gentilozzi is 7th. This could get very interesting in a very short amount of time here at Portland. Don't go anywhere. We will be back. Welcome back, and you're on board with the new leader here at the Tommy Bahama 125, Johnny Miller. He has stayed out while a number of cars have ducked into the pits, and Johnny Miller picks up the lead. You can see 2nd place. Guess who? Tommy Archer. Archer's tucked right in, coming into the festival. Archer looks. Archer shows the nose. Miller goes in just deep enough to fend him off. But Tommy Archer up to 2nd. Remarkable, keeping in mind that he has not yet stopped, nor has Miller. But nonetheless, pretty amazing run by Tommy Archer.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, I think he's slipping behind the curve on strategy. During that yellow, we had Lou Gelati right before, came in the first guy to pit. Simo came in and said, and so those guys now have a tremendous advantage if a yellow comes out, because they will basically have had a free, when everybody else stops after the yellow, will all rejoin behind them, and they'll erase all the time they spent in the pit. So any of the contenders staying out right now are doing so at great peril.
This is essentially, as we're on board now looking back for Miller, this is the battle for the lead. And you can see Archer got a run on him. Here he comes. Archer moves inside. Miller covers. Archer's got to back up. Archer comes by, slides down the inside, picks up the lead. And Tommy Archer, your new leader, with Johnny Miller sliding back into 2nd. Tommy Dreese's 3rd. He's almost 5 seconds back of this duel. And Miller makes his way down into the pits. So Johnny Miller, maybe his crew is watching and listening on the satellite dish and heard what you were saying. And Chris Neville, Johnny Miller's in.
Yeah, Johnny has just come in. Looks like a good stop. I didn't really see any pit lane speed violations there. These guys are putting the fuel in. Doesn't look like they're making any other changes. And I don't see any fire on this one either, so that looks pretty good. Looks like a clear stop, and a little slow to get going. No major burnouts, and he's away.
That is, of course, perhaps what you were talking about, TK, with those clutches. They've got to be so careful with those, as Miller on his way out being very careful. Now, we're going to go back and take a look at the stop for Boris Said when he ducked in out of the lead, and it looked pretty routine until we had a little bit of an interesting moment here.
Yeah, routine except for the fire under the car.
Yeah.
Here you have it. And somehow, look at that. And he's totally unaware, still pouring fuel to that thing. And scary, scary moment. Gets away and it goes out. But if I was that guy with the plugged in on the fuel, I'd want to know that.
And you can just see Lewis in the background. Same scenario. And you wonder, I mean, obviously some fuel just had to have leaked down. And that was that. Now there's Miller exiting the pits, not quite up to speed yet. And Lewis was able to sneak by. There is Tommy Dreese, who sits in third. There's Gentilozzi, who is fourth. Now, of course, has moved up. And now Paul is going to come in and take his actual mandatory fuel stuff. Boy, he locked it up big time, trying to get down to that required speed, Chris.
He just pulled in. He made it all the way back up to the third spot, and this is his second time in pit lane. That penalty he was assessed early on definitely hurt him, but back up to third. Good stop this time. Oh, he stalled the car. He stalled the car. The guys are pushing it. Got it going again, and he's away.
And taking a look at the monitor here, Paul Gentilozzi thus far fastest lap of the race at a 1:15 flat. Archer second quick at a 1:15.2, and then Boris Said at a 1:15.7. Those are the only three guys. Well, check that now. Simo at a 1:15.5. Four guys in the 1:15s right now, but Gentilozzi obviously very hooked up. There is Archer. Now the question is he going to make a stop fairly soon?
He was just a little bit ahead of Gentilozzi before Gentilozzi pitted. Time-wise, Gentilozzi was running about 2/10 of a lap faster than Archer. They're the quickest cars in the field, both in terms of absolute lap and as the laps have been clicking off. Kind of consistently faster than everybody else and 2/10 quicker than Archer. So Archer's got to make some time. Hopefully not get caught in traffic. Hopefully not get a yellow. Get his stop in and out of the way.
I wonder if that's not his strategy. He's got clear track. Gentilozzi's buried in traffic a little bit. He's running light. He can just continue to hammer the laps in and make up a little ground. We'll find out when we come back.